Well, welcome. Thanks again for taking the time to join us today. My name's Sandra Higgins, and I'm the Marketing Campaign Manager here at Top Software. And first, I'd like to take care of a few housekeeping items. We just want to let you know that the webinar is being recorded and we'll be sharing a copy with all of you. And also, we encourage you to ask questions by typing them into the Q&A box that you see on your screen. Type in any questions you have there, and we'll be able to monitor those and answer them as we receive them. So before we get started, we do want to get to know a little bit about our audience. We do have a few poll questions. And Corinne, if you want to start with the first poll, please. And the first is, which property community management solution are you currently using if you are using one? Let us know if you're a TOPS 1 client, if you're using our Legacy Pro or IQ, or any other. All right, looks like that is perfect. And the next one is who you are. Are you a property management company or are you a self-managed community? All right. And second to last is how many homes do you currently manage? Is it under 1,000, 1 to 5,000, more than 5,000? All right, and the last one, which I think is pretty important. We're curious as to what your top 3 goals are for your business as we enter 2022. Is it growth and profitability? Are you interested in automating more of your manual tasks? Is it streamlined resident communications and board communications as well? Are you really focused on moving to a cloud-based solution? And the last is if one of your priorities is to adopt paperless AR and AP payments. All right. Thanks, Corinne. So if you've just joined us, I'm Sandra Higgins, TOPS Marketing Campaign Manager, and joining me today is Corinne Halleck.
Hey, my name's Corinne. I am a customer success manager here at TOPS. I'm also a former manager, and I've been in the industry since about 2010. Okay, so in case you aren't familiar with TOPS, our goal at TOPS is to unify the entire HOA ecosystem. We know management companies and managers have a difficult job, and oftentimes you're forced to use a lot of different tools. So our goal is to bring everybody together in one ecosystem so you have access to the essential information you need in one space and also in real time. When we look at the different pieces that we bring to the table, we're starting with the foundational level with accounting and the management system of record. We can layer on financial services. We can help automate AR and AP payment capabilities, tools for different levels of resident engagement with portals, SMS, and finally vendors and other key external parties in the mix with online AP submission and also digital AP payments. So we focus on the things that all communities do to manage their day-to-day operations.
Great, thanks, Corinne. Now let's jump in and meet our guest for the hour. This is Terry Henderson of Classic Management. And for those that don't know, Classic Management is one of TOPS's longest and most dedicated users of TOPS 1. They have a great story to share with us today about how technology has transformed their business. So with 20 communities and over 3,000 doors, the Hendersons, they share 35 years of combined experience in the industry. And so we're super excited to have her on. Tara, if you want to come on and say hello.
Am I on? There we go.
You're on. Hello. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
So happy you could join us. We can go to the next slide. So, Terry, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey of how you and your husband ended up in the HOA space.
My husband Steve has been in commercial real estate since 1983. He's handled all types of residential and commercial real estate. Um, they include experience in condos, apartments, hotels, office complexes, retail, in over 20 different states. He's financed over $2 billion worth of real estate in his career. For myself, I started managing multifamilies back in 1999. I have a background in business, and I'm responsible for the administrative and financial aspects of Classic. Um, I negotiate contracts, I supervise our staff. Um, but we've owned multifamilies and apartments for many years. And years ago, we had a business associate who had developed a condominium complex and asked us if we would be willing to manage the complex, which we did. And when our kids were old enough and were starting to go off to college, I foolishly said to my husband, geez, what am I going to do when the kids go off to school? And he certainly had a lot in store for me. So around 2008, we purchased Classic. And it was a small management company. We inherited a staff of 12. Um, it was a little overwhelming. There were rooms and rooms of files, rooms and rooms of boxes of files to be filed. Um, at that point in time, we had no postage meter. Our copier didn't even sort or staple. Um, so we ended up getting our feet wet by fire, really, truly learning the condominium business with a lot of different condominium complexes. We started, our approach was a little different. We wanted to be a little more personalized when we started our company. And what we decided is we would have a person answer the phone each time. We didn't want to have an automated system. Um, we took out the middleman. We heard a lot with a lot of management companies that would say, somebody comes out, visits with us,
Sure.
tells us what you're capable of, and then hands you off. Um, and then we started looking at technology. Our business grew by pretty much networking real estate agents we knew, attorneys, even contractors, and some of our clients referred us. And today we have 20 communities. We have 6 full-time staff, 2 part-time staff.
And that's amazing because you've tripled. I'm looking here at 2008. You had inherited the staff of 12. You've tripled
Mhm.
your business in 2021, and you have half the staff. So I'm
Yes.
seeing that, yeah, that's a testament to technology.
And some of the technology that we'll talk about have made a huge difference in how we
Great.
operate.
Thanks for sharing that journey. We are excited to share the story, so far as a business, and hopefully help some of our attendees learn from your growth strategy.
Mhm.
So if we can go to the next slide, Corinne. So for today, these are the top 3 areas we're covering. We're essentially going to be looking at Classic's past, inherited business processes, their present, and then also the future of Classic Management's business journey. So we'll talk about inherited, like the Classic it started with, and we'll discuss their transition to one. All right, so let's get into Classic's early days with Corinne and Terry. Next slide.
Sure. So when we were talking before the webinar, we had talked about some of your pain points on Pro. So I wanted to briefly go through those. You already mentioned just mounds and mounds of paper, of course. Can we talk about how many team members that you needed just for document management alone?
We actually had 2 part-time people that we paid to handle filing. That's how much paper we were moving when we first came into Classic. if you got a call and the file wasn't filed, you'd have to get back to somebody. If the file was misfiled, it was gone forever. Honestly,
You'll
it
never
was
find it.
it was not a very efficient system.
Sure. And so many file cabinets, so you probably lost office space. You could have been using that for something else, but it's all used for document storage, which of course adds clutter to your office too.
It was a lot of clutter, very crowded. We had about 50 cabinets. We
Wow.
probably had a lot more space that we didn't need if we didn't have those cabinets. Our workstations were stuck in between cabinets, and we used a lot of space. And I think just the work atmosphere with that clutter was just not conducive to working. It was stressful to come in every day and see that.
Sure. Well, and today when you see a lot of things that talk about decluttering, it does not bring you joy, so get rid of it. You
Yeah,
can do that with all those cabinets.
yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
your mailings, so that looked pretty different before too. So what was your mailing process like? You mentioned your copiers didn't even staple things, so you had to do all of that by hand.
Yeah, everything was manual. Email wasn't as popular back then. What we had to do was print everything, sort it ourselves, staple it ourselves, put it in envelopes. We had to go to the post office to get postage. We had around the holidays, year end were a lot of the fiscal year ends. We would have coupon parties where we would invite people and we'd all sit around and collate all of these coupons so that we could send them out to people. Board packets, financial packets took a tremendous amount of time. So it was just a lot of paper and a lot of time
Sure.
that it took to do those.
And it
What do
sounds like
you
a lot of labor as well.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
and paper cuts? What do you think of
Yeah.
those mail parties, Sandra?
Pardon?
You don't want to attend those mailroom parties?
No, I'll pass on the coupon parties.
All right, so now let's talk about the impact a new technology solution had on your business. The perception I think a lot of people has is that technology provides a little less of a personal experience, but you have a different view on that. So how have you found that it helped provide better service to your clients?
I think when we talk about technology, you're right. I think some people cringe, especially when you talk about automation. They think it's
Mhm.
less personal. And I think what we've found is that it makes us much more efficient, that it makes us much more effective, that we can accomplish a great deal that used to take a lot of time and effort, and focus our attention on other areas that we need. In terms of our staff, that means answering the phone, being able to assist people and resolve it. And technology has made a huge, huge difference in us being able to respond to the client and give better service.
Awesome. And something else that you had mentioned was single touch resolution. So what does that mean for you and your team?
For our team, our goal in our office is to touch it once. The more times you touch it, the more inefficient you are. So with technology, and maybe we'll get into it a little more in the coming films, but with TOPS, we have the ability to put all of our information on TOPS, so that it's a touch away for our people. And that makes a tremendous impact on time management for our people. If someone calls in, they're a click away sometimes of just that answer. If we find that one of our properties was built at a certain time and they all need their certificate of insurance at the same time, we may put that on the attachment gallery. So when we get those calls, we just send it out in an email and people have it. We don't have to send them to the insurance company and do all of that. So there's a lot of functions that we use that make our job much easier. And I
Nice.
think the biggest piece is the mobility. Um, we have the ability with TOPS One to work anywhere. And that came in very handy with the pandemic, or unfortunately with climate change, the hurricanes and things like that. We're able to adapt to that that's pretty transparent to our customer.
Sure. Yeah, you don't have to lock up for this after a hurricane.
Right, exactly, exactly.
But again, to Corinne and to your point as well, that quote is something that we loved about the perception is that technology provides less of a personal experience. And you've clearly demonstrated that technology allows you to provide superior service.
Yes, yeah,
So
and spend
that's,
more time on it. Yeah.
mhm.
Sure. Well, and even having access to the attachment gallery from various places. When I was a manager, I brought a big binder of documents to every meeting, and half the time I didn't even use it. But it would have been nice for me if I had that, because then I could just log in and say, oh, look at this document right here. Now I'm done.
Yeah,
And that's one less action item too, of course.
yeah, and even on off hours. Um, you had mentioned you had to bring a folder home, so you'd be able, or you'd have to run back into the office if you had an emergency. Um, we're able to respond to that, even if we're out to dinner, and something happens, you can handle it then and there. And not have to leave and excuse yourself and that kind of thing. So the mobility alone is a game changer. Part of that mobility also allows us, if we're on site at a property, if somebody comes up and says, you know, I got a late letter, why do I owe this money? You're able to
Mhm.
look at it and answer it right then and there. You're able to put together work orders from your phone. Our
Sure.
manager used to call in and call in and say to our staff, can you write this up? Can you write this up? And that this way they can do it and send it right in. So it does give you a lot more flexibility.
Yeah. When the on-call after hours answering service, I actually went to a concert with the on-call binder. I had a messenger bag over my shoulder at the concert, and I got a call and had to walk outside and open my binder and say, okay, hold on, give me a minute. Let me figure out which page I need.
But it's true though. You don't realize how freeing it is until you have it, because it does tie you to the office if you don't have that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're working with, 10, 15, 20, 30 different communities, you can only
Yeah.
imagine how much data you're, going to need to have access to. And
Right.
I mean, the mobility piece, I couldn't even imagine, not having that in that
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah. Today alone, it's true. We get calls in the middle of the night if there's an emergency, a fire alarm's going off, if there's a fire. We have that ability now to be able to respond to the police right then and there, be able to call the person or the owner and
Sure.
be able to get things moving. So it has been it's been great.
Awesome. Okay. So we talked about the more of the customer facing side. So I wanted to dive into like the process and operational side of things. We already know managers don't have time as it is. They're running from place to place or meeting to meeting and trying to still meet the demands of their owners and their board members. So you found by standardizing process, that was a way that you could save time. So do you have any examples of standardized processes that you have in place?
Yeah, what we do, I felt it was really overwhelming when we took over classic management to try to learn all these different things and then be able to,
Sure.
maybe you didn't use them for a month or two and then you'd have to go back and try to remember. So what we started doing, we standardized all our files. So everything is um, filed exactly the same for each property, and recognizing that they're all different and we can add to that. But if we're searching for board minutes, it's the exact same place for every property. The other thing that was a game changer for us was TOPS allows you to, there's a attachment gallery, which we have used for documents, we've used for budgets, we've used for anything that's specific to a property. And we've also customized our property screens to list unique information for every property. So that way it's if we get a phone call on certain things, our staff will say, you know what, that would be helpful to have that on there. And we do that. And we continue to add to that. And it's unlimited, so that we can continue to do that. But it's helped tremendously with us in terms of what information we need when we have a new client and bring them on, giving consistent answers when people call in, so that we're all speaking the same language, and training when we have new staff. It's and again, we have vendors that we may not use 2-3 years from now, but we have them. So it's a great way to have all your information in one spot.
Awesome.
And it's great to hear how this is the best thing of these case study webinars that we do, is we actually get to hear how our clients are using the product. And sometimes they use it in a unique way, like for example, you're customizing the home screen. So these are really great tips that can be applied immediately to our attendees that are on the webinar. So I love to hear that all these different ways with the attachments, and so this is the true value of these webinars.
It is very helpful. I attend these a lot because I'm always looking for new ideas and new thoughts on how to do things. One of the biggest things that had an impact on our timeline when we started with Classic, we had a full-time bookkeeper and a part-time bookkeeper. We went to online AP approval years ago, and our process years ago was we got the bill in, the bookkeeper had to put it in the system, then they had to code it, then they had to print it out, and then it had to go to the manager and he had to sign the checks, and then we had to put them in the envelope and mail them. With the AP approval, either they're emailed, the bills are emailed in or scanned in, they go on to the system, the bookkeeper still codes them. And it does give you the opportunity to set it up where if it's a bill that comes in every time, you can automate it. So it codes it and saves you time. And then it goes through the approval process. It goes to the manager. If you have properties that have board approval, it can be set up to go to the board. And then when you release that bill, the check goes out. It can go directly into the vendor's checking account, or it can be mailed out. But that saved a tremendous amount of time. And today we have a part-time bookkeeper. We've been able to really save a tremendous amount of time with that. The other piece is financial reporting. TOPS has a global piece to it where you can automate what reports you want. So we've set up that these are the reports our properties get every month. We can run those reports. It runs them all at the same time with that consistency. They have a customized feature so that you can even customize reports, which again has saved us a tremendous amount of time and has helped us be able to consistently report to the boards. I've worked with different management companies over the years. I was sharing that we own a condo in Florida, and we don't always get our financials on a timely basis. And we have a schedule, and we keep that schedule, and we keep that commitment, and we're able to do that because of that.
I imagine doing it manually would have taken hours and hours and hours.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Same as the coupons, and same as it's a lot of manual work, and you don't realize that until you step back. And even with our staff, they just couldn't believe the time savings with some of it. Smart banking, another huge piece for us. Um, you know, we're all concerned about checks and balances, with our AR and AP. Smart banking allows people to make payments automatically through a lockbox. They can send in through their checks into the lockbox. It downloads automatically into the system every morning. Um, that's huge for us, not having to open the mail, put the checks in. Um, Again, do we have some of it? Yeah, we still have a few here and there, but nowhere near what we had. And people today, a lot of them really do like that automated option. Um, and then with the automated AP, you have your checks and balances in place. And I think it's an added protection to the associations, and that's what we share with them when we do that. Again, we've had people that are a little leery of it with associations, technology,
Sure.
but it works very well. And when they try it, they end up loving it.
It's once they get over that pain of change, they do realize the value and benefit to, online payments, not having to go to the association office or the property management company office to, hand deliver checks. It streamlines every single process.
It does. And again, just to highlight with the pandemic this year,
Sure.
it made a huge difference. I don't know if everybody else did, but we had a lot of issues with mail and things not getting here. And, if people had mailed something. So with the automated process, our vendors got paid. We got receipts in, and that was huge.
No, absolutely agree.
I was going to talk about smart banking and you beat me to the punchline,
Oh,
but
okay.
totally fine. But what I did want to highlight here is TOPS, we realize what we do well, and owning a bank is not one of them. So we have smart banking partners that can offer additional features to you. So I'm glad that you were able to use them instead of continuing down the path of manually posting and receiving checks, and then of course putting them back in the mail and sending them over to the bank. So I'm glad that's something that you had found value in.
Yeah, I think we've been with Tops for a long time, and as I said, I think the thing I can say is the innovation. Tops is always continuing to listen and look for ways to help us do our job better. And they do have partners that we use that have made a tremendous difference in what we do. One of the others, just quickly is mailings. A lot of the mailings having to manually, if they're annual meetings, stuff envelopes and print and all of that. There's a partner that actually does that for you. All you have to do is put the package together, scan it, and send it to them, and they send it out for you. That's huge. And again, it gives you the ability to operate from anywhere. And those are the things that really make a difference, and how you spend your time, I guess.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's go into our next slide. Okay, take it away, Sandra.
All right. So thanks so much, Corinne and Terry. These are just really great insights. In earlier conversations that we've had, you'd mentioned residents' expectations are changing, which we couldn't agree with you more. But could you elaborate a little bit? Would you mind sharing what changes you're noticing in the community association management trends, like with expectations and such?
I think there's more of a demand. People want information immediately. They want access. People are busy. They're stressed. And we're seeing that. And I think the technology, the automation, email, websites, access after hours helps us meet a lot of those demands. Um, I think customers expect more, and I think we see that a little more with the pandemic. People are home more, they're seeing things, they're more aware of things, they maybe have a little more time to be home and look at things. And the technology helps us meet some of those needs.
And there's that, in today that we kind of like called it the Amazon culture where you want it. So you just place your order and everything's
Right.
so instant gratification that, I mean, the self-serve piece is so critical, I think, in as far as trends. That's, people want to pay online, they just want to self-serve. So that's the beauty of, our advanced portals too. It just kind of helps all that communication streamline.
Yeah, and I think people are juggling a lot of things. And so when they have the time to do it, they want to sit down and do it. They don't
Hmm.
want to wait
Yeah.
until Monday morning to call you. So yeah, that's very true. Very true.
And about self-managed community associations, you had shared a little bit about that, and they're changing as well, their needs and demands.
Yeah, I think people expect more today, and I think this job as manager has morphed into you need to be knowledgeable. You need to be the jack of all trades and a multitude of
Absolutely.
things. I think a lot of self-managed associations are struggling with that. Their stress with people um, is out there, and people are more demanding, and then when you live in a community and you're managing that community or and living in it, that becomes
Sure.
difficult. Sometimes it gets personal, and that we're hearing a lot of that when we get calls from people looking for us to manage them. That's a real struggle for them.
Yeah,
And if,
well, one of the most expensive things that you're going to buy in your life is your home, so it does become very
Yes.
personal, of course.
Yeah, and again, a lot, like I said, there's a lot that goes into managing a property, not just maintenance, but insurance,
sure.
um, risk management, all those types of things. And a lot of times that skill set may not be in the community. They do the best that they can, but today it's becoming more and more important to have it.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. Now, before we move into Q&A, is there any business philosophy that guides you or any practical advice that you'd like to share with our attendees?
Geez, we've learned so much over the years, as I'm sure a lot of people have. But I guess, one of them, you can't be organized enough. Um, this is a fast-moving business, and the more organized you are, the more efficient you are, the better you're going to perform, service your customer, and adapt. Um, I think one of the other things is, if it's not working, change it. I think when we first came into this business, we thought, these are our customers. This is what, we need to adapt to. And one of the stories that I have is when we first began, um, 2 years in, we had a property that was probably a quarter of our income. And it probably took up 85% of our time.
Oh, wow.
And we sat down and said, look, what if we don't renew? What will happen? And we made that decision, which was really a risk for us, to not renew. And the morale in our staff went up. And it allowed us to not only service our other customers better, but it also allowed us to expand. It was actually holding us back instead of catapulting us forward. So sometimes those are tough decisions to make, but I think if someone had told me, early on, it's okay. you know, um, Another piece of advice that we had gotten was, it's okay to make money. Condominiums are known for not having a lot of money, and I think what we've learned over the years, if you try to keep um, common fees really low, it's really an indication you're not maintaining things, you're not doing what you need to do. Management companies are the same way. You need to be able to pay your staff, and you need to be able to do the job to the best of your ability. And it costs money. So I think it's okay to say to clients that sometimes, you know what, this is what we need to do our job and to do it well. And I think people understand that. Um, Outsource when it makes sense. There's a lot of mundane tasks that we all do and we maybe get caught up in or we spend a lot of time on. There's a lot of outsourcing out there that sometimes it's worth it. And, you have the property or the association that you're working with pay for that. We manage pools and it's difficult, especially the last couple of years, to get people to work, to run the pools. And there's an outsourcing staff that takes on the liability, hires and manages that. So, those are some of the things that sometimes people don't think about, but it can have a positive impact on both your business and your client because you have consistency and they specialize in it.
Absolutely.
And then, the other thing is, don't overextend yourself. We've grown, but we've grown smart and we've looked at the right times and opportunities. A quick story, years ago in New England is where we're located. We had a terrible ice dams. We had a winter that was just ice the entire time. We had properties that were leaking left and right that had never leaked before. And we mobilized a lot of contractors that we work with to help us deal with the leaks. And then after the leaks came the insurance claims, which was a tremendous amount of work. But we heard from people probably up to 2 years later looking for management companies because of that, because they were overextended and they could not respond to them. So, we always look at what are we capable of, worst case scenario, can we handle it? We do hire a restoration company when we need it. But they're not going to be there when you have a mass thing. They're going to be overwhelmed as well. So we always try to think of, can we handle this and how could we handle different situations so that we don't overextend ourselves and we're still available to our clients. And the last thing is probably, take time to recharge. Burnout is real. People are stressed. And, our philosophy with our staff is, when you walk through that door in the morning, leave everything else out there. Let's work hard. Let's do a good job. But when 4:30 comes, you go home. You have a family, you have a life. And live your life when you go home. They have the weekends, and we want them to recharge because, you could do this job 24/7 and still have things to do. And it's important to take care of yourself as well.
Absolutely. And I think that is fantastic advice. And we actually have a ton of great Q&A from the audience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Corinne, if you want to take it away for Q&A, thank you so much.
Sure. So let's look through the questions here. All right, so there's a question in one, what are the top 3 features that you find saves your team the most time?
Well, I would say the top is mobility, having the ability to work from anywhere. I would say number 2 would be the automated ARAP. That makes a huge difference. And I'd say probably the third one would probably be, the property page, the information page where we're able to put all of the pertinent information that we may need at a finger touch so that we're able to respond.
Sure. So on that property page, so you're using custom fields for that. What type of information do you put there? I would imagine probably like insurance information, but what other things do you add to that field?
Well, each property has their own vendors a lot of times. contact information, emergency information. So we put that information on there. So if there's a problem, we can call. We have some properties that have specific guidelines in their documents that maybe there's no rentals, maybe there's specifics on pets, maybe just unique things for that property. Doors and windows, whose responsibility is that? So we do those type of things, and again, it may be specific to a certain property that they'll call in a lot on this one particular question. So we may put that information on there, so that way we have lock boxes at different properties. So we put the codes on there, so that again, if the manager's out on the property and he needs to access something, he's able to. You know, he doesn't have to call into the office and try to do that. So it does give us a lot of flexibility. We also added a lot for our bank questionnaires. I don't know about anybody else, but we've really been slammed with resale certificates and bank questionnaires. So a lot of that information we put on that page, so it's much easier, much quicker to fill those out. And that's another partner that TOPS has, that again makes a huge difference if you automate that process. That has made a big difference.
Yeah, that gives people that are attending, if they don't have this information set up yet, that gives them some good ideas if they want to get that set up. Let's see. Okay, so as far as automation, can you give us some examples of activities or processes that you have automated in TOPS?
Probably the biggest is our reporting, that we go in, we set it up, so that way we know this is what we do every month, and then we run those reports every month. We use collections that you can automatically set that up. So when you push a button, or it will be ready for you. There's two ways in TOPS, which I love. You can automate it so it automatically does it, or it will send you a message that it's ready, and then you're able to hit that button and say, okay, run it. But you're also able to review it. So if you're not comfortable totally with automation, then you can do that as well. But it saves a tremendous amount of time doing that on all of your properties versus doing one at a time. So those are some of the ways that we use the automation. And across the board, when you have 20 properties, it is a big time saver.
Sure, absolutely.
Imagine.
And looking at report packages, or even just reporting in general, I know when I had to put together my board packets, I had to go to the copier, print everything off, go to the copier, grab it, and then I laid it out across my desk, manually assembled it, and then I had to scan it back in. So
Exactly.
I think if you're using report packages, I think that's another good thing, certainly to automate, especially if you know when your board meeting is each month, and you can just
Yes.
and not have to stress about it.
Exactly. And again, that the AR and the AP, it's automated. You scan with the AP, you scan it in, or your vendor send it in via email. It's opening letters and paper and moving and that kind of thing, and it's a big difference in how you operate. The nice thing with the AP is it's on file. You don't have any more files. You don't have to file anything. It's there. You can go back in there a year later and that bill is there. You can click on it and you can print it if you need. It gives you a great history, and it's paperless. So that's another big plus with it.
And also, it's perfect for the environment we're in today with remote work and all of these, different scenarios that we're experiencing due to the pandemic. So, I mean, I feel that that's just a huge bonus to not have to deal with needing staff in the office just to check mail. It really alleviates all of that stress.
I know with all of us with the pandemic, especially when it first began, you were trying to figure out how do you operate. For us, it was easy for us to say to our staff, you work from home. We don't want everybody in the office. And if the bookkeeper had to come in once a week, she came in by herself. We were able to do that. We were able to answer our phones. We were able to get back. We were able to access information. We would do it during snow days, but we didn't do it for the length of time that we did it. And we were able to operate really pretty much transparently to our customer, and that made a huge difference with it. We've talked to management companies that did not have that, and they really struggled with how to adapt, because it was very difficult to do that.
Okay, so let's look at the other questions we have coming in. So there's a question on AP jobs. So the question was, do you automate AP jobs? And if so, how do you handle variable amounts versus fixed amounts?
Not sure what.
So I think what they're trying to do, and certainly if I miss this, the person asked the question, just go ahead and clarify for us. But I think what they mean is if you automate AP for the same amount each month, let's say to your landscaper for your contract, okay. But if you have a vendor that the amount changes, maybe like utilities, is that something that you automate?
Yeah, what happens is when that bill comes up, your bookkeeper is still coding it. They're still reviewing it, and the bill is on the screen as well as the code. So you're able to go in and change the amounts and update that bill before they move it on to the manager. So yeah, your bookkeeper is still reviewing it, they're still coding it, but it's nice with automation process because again, if landscape comes in every month, it's coded the same. It's just one less step that you need to do. But yes, you still have to review it, and you still are able to change it if you need to.
Sure. And looking through, making sure I didn't miss anybody. There's a question on sending over a webinar and how to use TOP. So that will be a follow-up for us instead of asking on this.
Sure.
But I think that's all of the questions we have. So for those of you on the line, if you want to ask any questions, we just have a couple more minutes, so go ahead and submit those over to us. Otherwise, we'll follow up with you after the webinar, of course. So we'll wait just a couple minutes and see if anything else comes in. But in the meantime, so what's it like up where you're at? Are you seeing fall colors yet?
We are starting. We're in Massachusetts, and we're starting to see the leaves change. We're starting to get cooler at night, and we have the Big E. I don't know if anybody's aware of that in Springfield, Mass, which is a big fair. That it was not open last year because of the pandemic, so it is this year. So I guess they're having record attendance, and so that's nice. It's nice to see things kind of come back a little.
Our Florida fall is looking just like Florida summer, but we're very excited it's coming.
Yeah, it's been hot in Florida, that's for sure.
But Terry, we want to thank you so much for your time today, and for sharing your business journey with us and for our attendees as well. It was, really valuable information about key takeaways that they can apply to their business. But thank you so much. I did want to encourage anyone who is still on the line, in the handout section, please go ahead and download the classic management case study that we did showcase today. It's a really great read. Goes into a little bit more depth of, the stories Terry shared today, but you'll find that in the handouts. And if any issues downloading, no worries, we're going to go ahead and follow up. We'll send that in the follow-up email as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me, and I hope it was helpful.
Absolutely. I really feel like everybody on this got something new or something that they can take away and implement right away for their own business. So we certainly appreciate it. And we hope you and everybody on the call enjoys the rest of their day too.
Absolutely. And we did want to let everyone know one last thing. We do have an upcoming webinar next month, which is going to be with Scott Hedrick from Keys Property Management. And he's going to be sharing with us, how they've grown their business while saving time and money with technology as well. So again, if anyone would like more information on TOPS, feel free to reach out to us. And again, everyone, thank you for joining. Terry and Corinne, thanks so much for your time and for all the TOPS team behind the scenes today, making today possible. Thank you so much. So have a great day, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Take care.
Take care.